Okay, and we're live, and intro is coming. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of Paranormal Versus. I'm hosting tonight as Kell is not feeling up to par, and so our show is offering Kell our warmest wishes of getting to feel better so she can come back and share her smile, wit, and everything Kell. However, with that being said, we are graced with the one, the only, Matt stepping in.
Hi, everyone.
So, welcome back, Matt.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, it's nice to be back. Good to be back.
Yeah, you did so well last time. We brought you back.
Thanks.
And
Yeah,
so, without further ado, I know you guys enjoy talking with us hosts, but it's not about the host today. It's about our guests. So, I am going to turn it over to our guest today, the one, the only Daryl Evans.
Whee.
Thank you for having me.
Hi, Daryl.
Oh, thank you for coming.
It's all right.
Right.
So, could you tell the audience a little bit about you and what you do?
How much you want me to divulge into it? Well, I've always been into paranormal. Um, Obviously, you guys know that I started in 2017 filming. Obviously, I've told you again about some stories that are interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm every time I get interviewed, it's quite hard to think of stuff that's interesting that ain't too boring. But yeah, no, I think that's all that you know so interesting about me. Just started it in 2017 filming, and yeah, I love the paranormal so much. I'm actually pursuing it to try and make it as a career.
Cool.
It's a struggle, but hopefully one day I'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what got you into it originally then? What made you think, right, I'm going to go down this route? You know?
Well, obviously, throughout my whole life, I've seen and spoken to spirits,
Wow.
and I think just 2017, one of my mates turned to me and said, "Do you fancy filming it?" And I was just like, "Yeah." And then obviously from 2017 to now, I finally found the name that is good for me and means that I can either do the paranormal or exploring. So I think I've gone through 5 names just to get to the right one.
Cool.
And obviously I work on my own because I find it better. Obviously I do collab, but I find just me on my own is more proactive.
Yeah.
Especially, obviously, when I work with other groups, it's easier. It's just me talking and working with them. So, it's nothing against other people. It's just I find it easier if I know what I'm doing and work well with people that way.
Cool.
So,
So
when you mentioned collaborating, who are some of your favorite teams you've collaborated with?
Um, well, there's a lot of people I have collabed that haven't filmed. Um, well, to be fair, the I don't know. That is a hard one because there has been a lot of people that I've worked well with, and obviously there has been people that I haven't worked well with. Just because sometimes people clash, don't they? And then, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That one is a hard one. You know, I would say everyone that's worked well with, it's been good. And then obviously other people, it's not worked, but it's just one of them things, and it's, you know, I find that not everyone, you know, you're not everyone that you work with is going to work well. You know, there is
No.
going to be slight defects in what you do or how you do it. You
Personality
know,
clashes. Yeah,
yeah,
it happens. Yeah.
yeah.
So when you've been out on these investigations, what has been your best sort of, experience to date? Would you say?
My Again, there's been loads, but I would say my ultimate one so far is when I went to Stokes Haunted Museum.
Cool.
Obviously, my camera captured Huff, so it was like an old man.
Wow.
Like he's gone like twice, and I think twice you can hear it. But the first time, obviously, when you watch the video, you hear me swear like about 6 times. But it's not the fact that I was scared; it was just the fact that I caught it, and it was such an amazement because it was one of them that you like. I had to check. It wasn't the owner, Craig. He was way on the other side of the building. So when I heard that, I was completely on my own, no one around me, and I thought that today was probably the best that I've captured. But I'm still trying to get an actual image, like movement. But for voices, that is my best capture so far.
Cool. So you've had an EVP then. That's your best one so far.
Yeah.
Wow. Were you asking any questions when you were doing the investigation?
I can't remember if I was asking. I'd have to review it again. But I don't know whether I was. I think I was generally just.
It's hard
Yeah.
to say, isn't it? When you get somebody huffing, it's not as if it's a kind of positive response to any sort of questions. But
No, but it was
sort of clear.
Yeah, but the huff it's still in my mind now, like how it was, and it was the sort of huff as in, what you doing here? You know what I mean? Like that sort of huff. I know people said, well, how do you know you can tell the difference? It's like you can tell the difference in the pitch of a voice or what you capture.
Was it an annoyed kind of huff, like?
I think it was. Yeah, it was definitely the huff of what you doing here? Can you please leave? I don't want you here. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow. Was it loud as well? Was it as if it was near?
Oh yeah,
no. You did it on your phone. Do you think it was almost as if he was stood right next to you, kind of thing?
Yeah, it was definitely my perimeter of my vision, like probably next to me, because it wasn't on my phone at the time. I had a Sony camera because obviously I was experimenting between what was better for filming.
Yeah,
and it was a Sony Alpha 5000, and it had the built-in mic. So with that, it was so clear. It was loud from my ears, but when you watch it back on the video, it sounds slightly louder than what I would say that I capture with my ears.
So you actually heard it in real time through. You didn't have headphones on. You actually heard it as if he was stood next to you, kind of thing.
Yeah, because I heard it with my ears, and I was just like, "What?" Like that's why you could. I swear. And then obviously I didn't bleep it out because I found out you don't have to with certain swear words. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to keep it realistic and just keep it in.
Wow. Yeah. Brilliant.
So,
how long ago was that?
That's a good question. When was that? It was 2021.
Okay, cool.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Yeah.
So Kell has a question for you in the chat room. She's asking, what was Daryl's first paranormal experience?
I'd say my first ever experience of seeing someone was in my first house. So it was like a quite small house, and at the time, No, just as my brother, because I used to share a room with my brother. And what my dad did, he divided the room so there was two bits, like two rooms in one room. And obviously my brother had moved out. I was on my own. And I think I got up to go to the toilet. And then as I come back, I got up to the steps to my room, heard a noise, turned around, and I physically saw a white lady figure. Like it looked like she was in a what do you call them? When women wear the dresses to bed.
90.
It's not.
90.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. A 90.
A 90.
It was a plain 90 that this spirit was, and then she was looking down at first, and I was looking, and I called out. Me, I think, how old was I? I was only young, probably about 8, and I said, "Hello, like, what's your name?" Like, at the time, I did not know what to say, but I just said that because it was the fact that I could see that it wasn't my mum, and obviously it wasn't my stepdad because my mum wasn't with my dad's then, and I was just like, okay, they're not replying, and then all of a sudden, it's looked up, and
Wow.
the look, because in that house it was the feeling of not nice feeling. You could sense something was there, you couldn't see. So yeah, it's looked up, and the face I can still see today, as in it wasn't a nice bit, it wasn't happy that I was there.
Right.
And then obviously it started to come towards me,
Oh.
and I stubborned up the stairs, and then obviously it did come at me at some speed, and that's where I shut my door, and I was like on the back of the door, my back was to the door, and I was like, feel my heart, and I was just like, do I get up and go to bed, or do I get up and open the door? And then obviously got up, opened the door, it wasn't there, and I was thought, standing there with the door open, I just thought, was that real? Was that fake? Or not fake, but was that, my imagination?
Right.
And I was just like, yeah, that was definitely that. Yeah.
Wow. And how did it look? Did it look sort of translucent like a ghost, or was it sort of full
It
form,
was,
like a human kind of thing?
yeah, it was just like if you literally dressed up as white, but it's glowing. It was like a sort of glowing effect, which I found weird.
Wow.
And I know some people were like, "Oh, but I was just like, no, it's definitely how it was." And it was just like, first time that was my realist experience of seeing something, and knowing that, it took me back a bit.
Yeah.
I think I told my mum, and my mum just said, "Oh, you just made that up." I was like,
What was
"No, I definitely didn't."
what was the house like where you were growing up? Was it an old house, or was it a new? Or
So, best way I could explain it is, if you're looking at the house, it was just a normal standard, 2 windows at the front, and so the door window next to it, and then the window above that window, and obviously where you would expect a window to be over the door would be bricked up, so it was just like one of them houses.
yeah.
I find it interesting. Your reaction to seeing this is close the door and put your back to the door. Most kids would be like far away from the door, praying it doesn't come through the door. But you actually put yourself against the door. I'm kind of surprised by that.
I think I did it because I knew. I think in my mind at the time, I think I just knew if I could lock it out, it's not coming in. So obviously I did that, and then yeah, I was brave. But then there was a reason why I did it the way I did it, and from there up to like now, I've seen, spoke, and it's scary, especially when, like, I've told. Was it? Did I tell you the story, Michael, when I said that I spoke to someone at Dover Castle, and then I went to a member of staff and said about the.
Yes.
I can't remember. Yeah, but yeah, it's the fact that I've seen on a multiple occasions and spoke to what I'm thinking is people when I find out that they're ghosts. And I'm like, I've had several conversations with ghosts, like I'm like in front of you, and I'm just like, that's, you know what I mean? But then is there a reason why I'm physically talking to someone that's not there, that's a spirit? You know, that I think we've got a question that in life things are done for a reason.
Yeah.
So
Did this ghost make any noises at all, or was it completely kind of, silent?
it was silent. So yeah, it was just, I don't know, because to this day I still talk to my mum, and obviously to this day my mum said, "Oh no, that house wasn't haunted." And then it's only recently I speak to my sister. My sister's just turned around and said, "Yeah, I did have a bit of an eerie feeling about that house." And I'm like, "Yeah, because it was a horrible feeling that I don't know what happened. Something's definitely happened, because it's a house that was built probably early 1900s."
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, just the feeling just not that nice.
Did
You know,
she look like? Did this woman look like she was in, kind of Victorian dress? Would you say?
no, like I said, like when I said about she just looked like she was just in a nightie. It looks like a general round neck nightie.
Okay.
So I couldn't tell you what era, if she was linked to the house or the area. But like I said, the house was built early 1900s.
Yeah.
So I could not tell you if it was related to the house or not.
Wow.
But yeah, it scared me.
So my mate Andy in the UK, he shout out for hopping in, but he's wanting to know, what area in the UK are you from?
At the moment, I'm in Brighton. So it's a city in the UK, and I would say at the bottom of the UK. So yeah.
So when you say the bottom, so yeah, so you'd be. I can see why you would go to Dover then, because that'd be right nearby.
Not too far. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, it's quite far from Dover, but so Dover would be near where I'm originally from in Ramsgate. So I would go to Dover quite a lot because it's quite a big area for history. So it's not just got like a castle; it's got the underground. It's got so much going for it. But
I gotta ask: are the cliffs up to reputation, or is it just hype on the cliffs of Dover?
The White Cliffs of Dover.
so
They are
what you
very
say?
white.
Yeah, very white.
But it's chalk,
I'm
I think,
just,
isn't it?
everybody is always like, you always seen the movies when they're coming home and going, "Oh, the White Cliffs of Dover," and so I'm like, is that really what it's like to see the White Cliffs of Dover, or is it like, yeah, there's the White Cliffs of Dover?
Yeah, no. What you see in the movies is what you get. Like, it is quite epic. Like, especially when you can go on the beach part. There is certain parts where you can like go on the beach and look up and see a massive white wall, and you think, like, my God, that's massive. You know what I mean? But yeah, I actually like Dover. I think for its history and just how it's set out.
Yeah, because Dover, if I'm not mistaken, played an important role in World War II even.
It was.
Yeah.
It actually makes you wonder if those cliffs carry any kind of residual sort of energy from when the old planes used to come back in during the war.
Well, in Dover Castle on the underground, there's the tunnels, and obviously part of the tunnels are the medical, so the hospital part.
Wow.
When you go in there, the minute you hit the tunnels going towards the hospital, you can feel the energy. You know, that it's obviously not nice energy because of all the, the people that would have got down there that got injured. But yeah, it's that every time I go down there, I see shadows of people walking around.
Wow.
And then I think they're working there, and I turn around and they're not there, and I'm just thinking, how that Dover Castle, again, it's exactly the same. I see, I think staff, or they got a vent on. I look around, they're gone. And I'm just like, every time that I've been there, it's like, it is a bit trippy, but after a while, I think you get used to it, because
Yeah.
The amount of times I've gone to go up to a member, me thinking a member of staff, me going up and to ask a question and they disappear, and I'm like, okay, I better actually try and find someone that actually does work here and ask a question rather than a ghost. You know what I mean?
Right.
Wow.
So I'm kind of curious because you're saying now you're living in the southern part of the UK. So I'm curious if are the like battle scars from like the Battle of Britain and all the bombings that happened in World War II still pretty prevalent, or had they pretty much rebuilt and everyone's kind of forgotten?
I think
they've rebuilt a lot of it now in England, haven't they?
Yeah, but if in like most places in Britain, if you look careful, you can see the resemblance of like, I don't know, like markings or where a bomb would have hit the grounds and gone off. But yeah, it's you'd have to find it, like, so it's one
I
of
know
them.
there's a lot of crash sites in the UK where planes went down.
Right.
Fields and stuff like that where pilots have lost their lives, that kind of thing. So there's going to be a lot of history in you'd think paranormal stuff.
Yeah, I was also kind of wondering if living there, if you have a feel of like, man, the trauma that went on there, if that's like still thick in the air, or if the air is kind of settled and everything's like returning to normal.
It depends on where you go. Like I've gone to London, and then obviously some of the underground tube stations are abandoned, and I know that one of them went down there, and it's an energy that you can't like talk to someone that doesn't understand, but it was definitely an energy that was like, it was a bit, because I know there are people that lost lives in the tube stations while they were there on bombing sometimes. But it was weird that the energy down there was like an eerie feeling of like, because I suffer with anxiety, and it was just like it set off my anxiety.
Right.
So I think it was that the residual energy, I think, stays there, and I think it's not just when people die. I think it can be residual energy of just time itself, because it was definitely a weird feeling, like where it set off my anxiety. And then I asked questions of someone we went down there with that knew the history, and he was like, what I come across is no one's died, but there was a lot of people in the tunnel at the time. And I was thinking, it was a bit, to go down somewhere that apparently no one's died, but you get the energy, residual energy still there. And that got me questioning as well. It was like, is it that you don't have to die to get residual energy of the past?
Maybe.
You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like Winston Churchill had his quote unquote war room was a tube tunnel and was in the underground in the tubes. And so if you think about all the pressure they're under, running the war, keeping communications going, keeping the planes, the ships, the armies, the tanks, everything in motion, that I would imagine would leave a lot of anxiety in the air, because that's a job you can't make a mistake. You push somebody to the wrong spot, they could be massacred, or worse, they could be fine, but now you just lost territory because you left the door open for the opposing army to just come rip right through. So, yeah, when you're talking about, not an anxiety of death, it may be you're picking up on all the people that were working under that kind of stress of literally making life and death decisions.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a famous ghost story about the London Underground, and a few people have seen the apparition of an old guy with an old oil lamp, the old ones that you'd hold like that.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Overalls, just walking up and down the platform in one of the tube stations, one of the old ones, possibly one of the ones that are now closed. So there's definitely something going on down there. I've also heard some stories too about some people that were doing some sound guys that were doing a test, and they were measuring the frequencies that the underground produces when you've got the trains whizzing down, and they produce a very, very low frequency. And when I say low frequencies, I'm talking sort of sub-harmonic frequencies, and certain sub-harmonic frequencies can induce that feeling of oppression, and it can trigger anxiety, that kind of thing. So that is another, possibility with it all. But there are quite a few ghost stories about London, the London Underground.
Right.
And of course, people that have jumped in front of trains as well. There have been quite a few of those over the years.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah.
I just find it interesting. We always, as paranormal investigators, our first reaction when we're feeling something strange is, okay, who died here? And it's like, yeah, like Daryl's experiencing, it doesn't have to mean somebody died. We forget about what life impact leaves.
Definitely.
Yes.
So, Darren, have you? I was going to say, have you ever experienced any poltergeist activity? Have you ever seen anything move?
Yeah, I've seen plenty of poltergeist activity.
Wow.
The story I told you about my friend, didn't I? He had his parents were well off, and they had a big house, and obviously he told us that it was haunted and it was a poltergeist because he said he'd seen stuff move, and he decided when his parents went away to provoke it. And I said, well, I don't really want to provoke it if it does bad. And his attitude was like, I don't care, we'll do it anyway. So I just thought, you know what, if he ain't going to stop when I said not to do it, I let him do it. But obviously I said, if it gets too bad, I'm getting out, and I don't care if you're left behind. It was like, oh, you're a mate. And I was just like, well, you're provoking something that shouldn't be. It might be a harmless poltergeist, but it could also be a poltergeist that could do seriously harm.
Yeah.
And then
I was going to say, I've personally experienced poltergeist activity. I've been a musician, for quite a long time, sort of on and off part-time. And quite a long time ago, I was playing in a band, and we were rehearsing at some rehearsal studios the other side of town where I live. And we were playing some music, and it was quite a big room that we were in, and the doorway was in the middle. And either side of the doorway were lots of speakers. You had your bass bin speakers, the metal stalk, and then the sort of mid-range tweeter speakers. And I was stood across the other side of the room behind the drum kit, because I was a drummer at the time. And we were playing back some music that we'd recorded, just like a demo kind of thing. And at the time, I was the only one that was in the room. And I just finished a mug of coffee, and I'd left my empty mug on one of the bass bin speakers right across the other side of the room between the door. And a friend of mine that was in the band came back in the room, opened the door, and as he opened the door, my empty coffee mug flew across the room. And it was a big room. I'd say it was probably 25, 30 foot in size. This empty coffee mug flew across the room towards me, stopped in midair right in front of my face, and then gently fell to the ground. And we were both like, wow, did you just see that? We were kind of in awe for a couple of minutes. It was like, wow. But quite a few guys from other bands that used to rehearse in that place, they'd experienced weird stuff as well. A friend of mine, Shane, who was he was sat on top of his big Marshall stack. He played guitar, and they just had a bit of a practice or something. And he was sat on top of his Marshall stack talking, and it started rocking. And then all of a sudden, someone pushed him off really hard, and he fell off. So, there was definitely something going on in that place. But
I was thinking, listening to your story, Matt, about the mug, that the spirits were like, this is not where you put a mug. And we're saying, put your mug away right. So we'll give you another shot and we'll set it down gently for you.
Yeah, maybe starts drinking coffee, not anything stronger. You never know, do you?
So Kell's wanting to know, Daryl, where would you like to investigate?
Well, I've done Ancient Ramin. I've done Shepton Mallet.
What did you think? Let me just butt in there for a second. What did you think of the Ancient Ramin? Now, the reason I ask is that's somewhere that I've been wanting to investigate for a long time, and it's only a 20-minute drive from where I live in Woodlander Edge.
I personally would go there because activity is there. I've heard
the
some
mad
people.
Old bloke, the mad old bloke that used to live there, I forget his name. He died, didn't he, several years ago? So I don't know what it's like now, but he used to talk about the incubus and succubus and all that kind of stuff, and there were a lot of things that he used to say and talk about.
It's eerie there. You could sense, there's, spirits there. But so for me, I had obviously heard the footsteps, and then I had banging, heard voices.
Wow.
And
because it's supposed to be very demonic, isn't it, that place?
Yeah, well, I got tripped down the stairs, like,
all right.
I got tripped, like, I got my leg, like, picked, someone felt like someone picked my leg up as it was going down.
Wow.
That for me, that was just like, because I was coming down the stairs and someone that I was with was in front of me, and I was just like, nearly fell. Luckily, I put my hands out. And then obviously they saw that happen with me, and they just legged it, and I was just like, "Oh, cheers!" Like, don't wait for me, like, because I definitely knew when I went to go downstairs. You know, when your feet is in like air, and then it was that I could feel someone like touching to like sort of jolt you, to put something in the way. But yeah, no, I just walked down the stairs, and I was just like looked back and said, "Cheers for that," like to say cheers for checking me up and nearly killing me. You know what I mean? But yeah, the mate I was with at the time just ran off, and I was just like, "This is what you mean. You shouldn't run off. No. Like, even if it's an entity that's horrid, like, you've got to stay calm. You are the one that's got to be in control, not the spirits. Because if you show the spirits that you're in control, they're more likely to be like, oh, okay, but it's not going to work with these. You know, we'll just back away and stop. You know what I mean? So." Or they continue, but majority of the time they realise that you're not taking any, BS. So yeah, I found that.
Oh, he's gone. Uh-oh. We've lost him.
Oh, hello.
He's back
in a different way.
Oh yeah, different angle. Wow.
Suddenly the screen blinked, and I was like, "How did I get front and center?"
Yeah, I forgot what I was talking about now.
Ancient Ramin.
Oh yeah, that's it. But yeah, no, it's definitely a place. Obviously I've heard people say that nothing happens, but I've been told that it's a place that to be hype, to have a laugh with people, and to just do everything in, like, if you're in a group there, just to have a laugh and giggle and joke around. And apparently the spirits hype up then, like, they like you laughing and stuff like that. They say they like to sing. That's where they get most activity. Like, the spirits come out if you sing. Like, me and my mates never sung because it was like, we don't sing, so we're not doing that. We're not entertaining a ghost like that. But yeah, I've been told that singing, actually, the spirits like, they come out more. But we never did that.
I mean, the thing is, with a lot of these sort of haunted places, you don't get a lot of things happening all the time. That's the thing. You can turn up to a venue and sometimes nothing happens.
Yeah,
and then you can turn up again and it's very active. It's just the way it goes.
I say everywhere is haunted. Just whether you get activity. Because you think the land that was before, like, people have died in it. So before these buildings, people died in this land. And you think, because a house is built on a land and it doesn't have no activity, doesn't mean it's haunted. The spirits roam the land So they go through buildings, they go through walls.
And ley lines too. That's got something to do with the ancient ram. I've heard it's been built on ley lines or something. So
it's supposed to be built on a dot that the ley lines literally connect, or something like that. But yeah,
whether that's got something to do
I've
with it.
I've actually noticed by mapping, since you bring that up, Matt, the ley lines all across the planet, or the Earth, wherever the ley lines cross, there's always more paranormal hotspots around that area than just normal everywhere else. And so I do think the ley lines do have an impact on allowing the spirits to come through and do what they want to do and interact with us. And I often wonder too, as if because the energy of the ley lines is so strong, that they may be in another dimension or parallel world that we're seeing, and it's crossing over because the energy is so potent.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Just out of interest, Daryl, when you went to the Ancient Ram Inn, how much did you have to pay to go there? Because I know now they're asking silly money for investigations.
Well, this is the thing. So at the time, there was me. There's 5 of us, and we paid 260 quid, so 70 quid each, roughly.
That's not too bad.
But the thing is that the Ancient Ram Inn, I don't know if they watch this or not, but if they do, because I spoke to them, because obviously I want to go back. So obviously they charge a lot of money if you film, like to big YouTubers.
Right.
And I was talking to them and said, but I don't make no money from the channel. So I was just like, can't I just go there, pay the single standard, because it's 70 quid still.
Right.
And I was just like, I ain't going to make money. And then they've turned around to me and said, we are happy to pay the 70 quid, and then you can film there. Whether they've changed it or not, it's a different matter, because obviously it's changed so much since I last went there. But yeah, the only reason why they charge so much is if you want to film there. So they're saying if you want to film there, they think that you make money from your channel. Right. So they want to charge you big money.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but I'm definitely going to go there again. And I've got the conversation of them saying that I can go there, pay the normal 70, because I don't get earn any money, So hopefully they still stand by the 70 quid. And then yeah. But I want to do the 8 to 8. Last time I did the 8 till 2 last time, but I want to do a complete 12 hours and stay awake. So yeah.
That'd be good. Well, maybe we could all do it together, because it's a venue that Kell and me want to try and investigate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm open for that.
Who knows? Yeah.
So I'm kind of curious, Daryl and Matt, what's your opinion of a lot of the locations now starting to charge a fee for investigating and then charging a fee for filming?
I think it's awful, personally. They're just jumping on the bandwagon at the moment because they know that it's potentially easy money for them to make. But I think charging people that are investigating this kind of thing, the bulk of the people, unless you've got a really big YouTube channel and you are making lots of money, you've monetized your channel and you've got a big income stream coming in, your average person, your average investigator who's genuinely interested in this kind of thing, it's hard to find the sort of money to go and investigate these places now. And I think it's just utter greed as far as the venues go. Yeah, you can understand they need to make their money somehow, but I think charging stupid money for investigations is absolutely daft. I mean, I remember, Michael, we had, or you and Kell had Jockey Solomon a couple of months ago on the show, who makes all of his equipment, all his, ghost hunting equipment. And he was talking about somewhere that he did an investigation. It was a castle somewhere. And they wanted some horrendous amount of money just for, I think, 4 or 5 hours just to do an investigation. I mean, you're talking thousands of pounds just to do like a 4-hour investigation. It's absolutely stupid now.
Well, where I am, I'm obviously in Brighton, and just down the road there's a place called Preston Manor. and obviously it's apparently haunted. So I inquired, and they only do 4 hours. So you can only film there for 4 hours. And I said like how much. So they not just want like a price. It's like they want add-ons. So I was like asked obviously, and they've come back and said, oh, for the 4 hours we'll charge you £3,500, and then you'll pay on top of that staff wages, electric bills. And I was just like, so how much are we looking at? And they just said, well, we're probably looking at another 1,000 on top of that.
Stupid.
And I was just like, so you want £4,500 for 4 hours? I'm not being funny. Like, how much are your staff on? I was like, there's none of your business. I was just like, okay, fair dues. But I was just like, you would pay your electric bill yourself. It's not down to people like me or any other like people coming and doing that. And I was just like, but why do you feel the need to charge so much? And they just said, oh, that's just our standard rate. I was just like, I did say, you do realise I'm not getting married here. I'm just going to film here. You know what I mean? And I was just like, after that, I was just like gobsmacked for like a few hours after. I was just like, I was stuck. I was like there. I had the TV on, and I was like, wasn't even watching it. I couldn't watch the program it was on. I'm sitting there just thinking, how can people charge so much to, and then only expect them only 4 hours? Like it takes at least an hour to set up. You know what I mean? And an hour to unset up. So you're
at the end of the day, you don't want staff there when you're trying to do an investigation, because they could cross-contaminate all of your, all of the evidence that you're trying to get. You'd want to do an investigation with either you and just a couple of other people, and that's it. You don't want staff working there.
They said they have to have staff there just in case anything goes wrong, and I was just like, do you realise I'm insured? If I was going to do something dodgy, I don't think I'd be insured. Do you think that? It'd be a bit silly for me to do that. I said, oh yeah, go in there, like, oh, I'm just going to go and rob the joint, but I'm insured. I don't think he's going to look back at me if I like go in there, rob the joint, and then like get arrested and be like, oh, I was insured. You know what I mean? He doesn't. Yeah. But they wanted 4 people as well. Like, it doesn't take 4 people to man just me. You know what I mean? It's like it was just silly. You know what I mean?
There's a location nearby here that's a jail museum, and they have like a couple volunteers there that are always there. And I find that when I'm investigating there, it's kind of fun to bring them along, because it's not as much cross-contamination as I'd expect, because they're genuinely interested themselves.
Hi, Andy. I hope it was something nice that you cooked.
Yeah. But I found that when I had an experience, they were actively like trying to help me disprove or debunk the experience. And like when we couldn't debunk it, they were like really excited, going, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And then it's like, and goes on. But yeah, I have been in some places where the people that are staffing it are in their office, but they're talking really loud. So it's like you got to walk further away so you can do EVPs. Or I find I'm like, hey, if they're here and talking, I'm just going to film and get what I get and go on from there. But that's like, I kind of do my investigations based on the environment. So if they're going to be noisy, that eliminates a lot of equipment I got to carry around, because I'm not going to use it.
Sure. I think the key nowadays is to try and find venues and places to investigate that aren't that well known. Because all the places that are well known, they're the ones that are charging big money now to just turn up for a few hours to do an investigation.
Yeah.
Certainly in England, we've got a lot of old pubs, and I think they're still, there's probably lots of old pubs that are independently owned, and I think people would quite like somebody to go in and just have a look and see if they can come up with anything and find any evidence of paranormal activity. I think
Well,
that's maybe where we should start looking now, rather than everyone going to these big, well-known venues all the time.
Yeah, well, I've actually got the pins of every single pub in England, which I can't remember where I got it off someone, and I was just like, oh, yeah, I've got pins, and they sent it over, and I looked at it, and literally all the pubs cover the UK and like Ireland, and I was just like, you can't see any of the greenery, so you can't see the land. You just literally have pin, pin, pin. So all the pins cover the UK, and I was thinking, there is a fair few thousand pubs in the UK.
Yeah.
And what I found out is that we're the only country to have that many pubs in as well. That is silly enough to cover and look like the UK map, which I found was weird. You can't see no green, it's literally just pins covering all itself. And I was thinking, that's amazing.
Now is the time to start investigating those, because there's so many old pubs now that have closed down and they're just sat there empty.
It's a shame about the pub that just got burnt and knocked down. The Crooked Inn.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I'm a bit angry about that because it's
I think I've actually heard of that one.
I think it's not far from Birmingham or something, or that sort of area, isn't it? Is it on the outskirts
think
of Birmingham
so,
somewhere?
because I did hear about it way before it was like that fire had happened, and I think I've known one paranormal group to go in there and do something. But even they said that when you go in there and stand up straight or sit down, it gives you, it like plays around with your vision. Yeah. So it gives you a bit, but yeah, it like that place I reckon would be an epic place to just, get paranormal in. But, because of the situation now, that's not the case. Yeah. Yeah. And to be fair, I reckon that was a bit of an inside job.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that. Aren't they going to build a bunch of houses on the land now or something?
Apparently so, yeah, because the land's behind it, the owners own that. So, it doesn't take a genius to understand that that's more like to be an inside job, but yeah.
Awfully convenient. Although it would be fun to go and investigate and find out it was something totally different that caused the fire.
True, yeah.
It'd be like, we actually have evidence to acquit them because the spirits didn't like them and burned the pub down.
You never know.
Yeah, that would be to go there into it and then the spirits come out and says, oh yeah, no, the owners didn't burn it down. It was us. We didn't like the owners. So
yeah,
but it just seemed a bit weird. Like it was on fire, then it got knocked down without permission of the council. But yeah, no, it would be funny if the spirits just burnt it down because they didn't like the owners. It's just like, good on the spirits, but you didn't have to burn it down. People like us would love to go in there and talk to you guys. Have a personal news conference interview with you guys.
Well, it would be even funnier is if it was like a spirit of a bar owner and it was like, I had to burn it down. They were watering down the drinks, and I don't accept that in my bar.
Yeah. There aren't so many old pubs out there now, though. I mean, there's one not far from where I live. It's actually called the Hobnails. It's in Gloucestershire, in the UK, and it's a really old pub. And there's a ghost story. I mean, I think most of these old pubs are going to have some kind of ghost story. They all seem to have them. But this place called the Hobnails, there's supposed to be a young boy, probably, they reckon about 9 or 10 years old, who people have seen sat up in the rafters. Because in a lot of the old English pubs, you've got wooden beams, old oak beams and all that kind of stuff, stone walls. And a few people have seen a young kid sat on one of these beams, just throwing coins down, randomly throwing coins down to people. And I know recently it's been refurbished, that place. So I don't know, maybe that's triggered some more activity, but that's definitely on my bucket list to do an investigation.
Yeah, could have done.
Hey, Jenny's in the house.
Hey,
So
we've got a Facebook
Daryl,
user there as well. We don't know who it is. They're saying, hello, everybody. But we don't know who they are.
So Daryl, Kell had sent me another question for you, and I'm kind of curious myself because I've actually been to this location, the Tower of London. Have you investigated there, or is it on your list?
You can't actually do that because
No.
obviously it's militarily run, and yeah, so that place it would be a no-go for anyone.
Enoch.
So yeah, because it's got military staff there, and it's just so secure, obviously because of what's in there. Because the staff, the majority of the staff live on site, so
Right.
yeah, it'd be a bit tricky. I don't know if you could get in there at all. I don't know how. Like again, you like Zach Bagans probably would ask, and he'd probably get in, but not. It's a no-go usually. Because I think someone did ask, and they were talking to one of the I can't remember what you called it. Yeah, the beefeaters, and they said that'd be a no-go. So yeah, but it would if the opportunity ever did come up, that would be a good one to do. That I think that'd be on a lot of people's agendas to do that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just noticed a comment coming from Andy.
Name's not popping up. Just letting you know.
Michael Andy has just put a comment in. I don't know if you've seen that about seeing a spirit possibly in Rendlesham. That's interesting.
He says, I believe I seen a spirit on Tuesday at Rendlesham. Looked like a World War II German soldier dressed in great attire. Only
lasted, I think.
Lasted for a couple of seconds.
Wow.
Oh, and he was saying it was gray. Not great, gray. It was dressed in gray.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is that obviously in the UK?
Rendlesham Forest?
Yes,
it's the UFO incident.
Yeah. RAF Bentwaters, I think it is the RAF base there.
Yeah.
But in the early 80s, there was a big UFO thing that happened there. And it was an American base, I think. I think it was a nuclear base. And, back in those days, there were quite a few UK air bases that used to carry American nukes. And quite a lot of UFO sightings have happened around nuclear Air Force bases, which is
he's saying
interesting.
Suffolk and Woodbridge.
Oh, Woodbridge, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Wow.
So, have you ever encountered UFOs or had any?
I've seen some weird stuff in the sky. Yeah. I've seen lights and obviously noises, but then with the noises, I presumed it was just normal aircraft. But with the lights, I've sort of looked at it for long enough to realise that that's not like a plane, and just looked at it and thinking, is it one of them Chinese lantern things or? But yeah, just I questioned a few times. But one of the weird things, I went into a woods. So when I think it's a woods near Blackburn, because when I was younger, I had some family up in Blackburn, so I went there. But then me and a couple of cousins went into the woods nearby, and all of a sudden we just saw this massive light in the woods, like in the trees, and we just thought, like, we stood there, and one of my cousins went to run off and literally just said, "Oh my God, it's the aliens!" And I've turned around and said, "No, stop, just watch and see what happens for a minute." And we did, and we were just like we were trying to think what it could be, and then the next minute we just saw it shoot up in the sky. Wow. And obviously I was just like, that couldn't have been an alien. That literally, it must have been some sort of rocket, like firework or something. But then after it went and then it darkened, we went to have a look, see if we could find out what it could have been. But there was nothing. There was no like burn marks around. There was nothing disturbed, you know. So we were just like thinking what it could be, and I even to this day, I think it's more likely to be, you know, a UFO, because it was just weird how massive light, then it shoots up in the sky. But yeah, it was weird. It was, you know, and now and again I'll mention to my cousins, and they're like, well, we couldn't explain it, you know, so it must have been a UFO. So yeah, without documentation, we can't prove it was. You know what I mean? But I
You
know
know,
it's more like
You bring up a great point that I think as a society we've overlooked is UFO by definition stands for unidentified or unexplained flying object. Yet they want us to prove and explain what we've seen. It's like, then it wouldn't be by definition a UFO. So it's like we've been growing up and contradicting ourselves all these years, in my opinion, going, I got to prove I seen a UFO. However, if I can prove it, then it's not unexplained. So therefore, it's like,
yeah. It would be good to have captured a UFO, but I don't know. They happen a lot each year, but it's whether you capture it. It's a different matter. You know.
Well, so many people these days have got mobile phones that it's, you know, you can quite easily get your phone out and just try and film something. I mean, maybe that's one of the reasons why everything's going off in Congress at the moment in the States, you know. Something's going to happen. You know, they're now coming out and saying, yeah, they exist. There's evidence coming out where people are saying, yeah, we've seen them. We've caught them.
So do you reckon that means that? Do you reckon that means that Area 51 will open up to the public?
Actually, it's
I think they've moved somewhere else now.
Talking about Area 51 is, I found out by talking with a friend and a guest that there's Area 51, Area 51 and a half, Area 54. And so it's like, I think what the government's doing is making Area 51 the face of, so they can do everything else over here and go, okay, everybody look over here. Now Area 51, you know, and with our Congress doing the disclosing, it's kind of funny how for our media, whenever our media discloses something, it's always because they don't want you looking at the other hand, so to speak. It's like, hey, we got UFOs. We're finally telling you what you wanted to know. But we're going to do something that you aren't going to like over here and won't know about it till it's over because you're focused over here.
Good point.
Yeah. Kell's asking, what do you think of the recent Congress meeting about UFOs, smoke screen or not?
I only saw a little bit of it, so I didn't get the whole of it. But is it like just as where they're saying about they're admitting that there is UFOs?
Yeah, right.
I to be honest, I think now they're just literally, I think just coming across as in, well, every single person near enough would just say that UFOs exist and they're real. So we might as well just come out with that, you know, UFOs are real and this place exists or that place exists, because there's no point hiding it. You know what I mean? Although it's 2023, I think people have known about aliens, like obviously Area 51 and other places to do with aliens that the government have got, like for years. But I think now they've just like, well, we've held them for it too long. We might as well just admit it and come out of it, and so that we don't get questions, because they're probably fed up with questions as well.
Do you think there's some kind of secret agenda to all of this? That they're going to come out and say, yeah, UFOs exist. All of a sudden we find we're being attacked by UFOs, but they're not actually UFOs. They're holograms being projected into the sky. And
Well,
I mean, Project Bluebeam. I don't know if you know anything about Project Bluebeam.
I do.
no,
Michael probably does. Yeah, I'm sure Michael does.
but I don't know. It's a weird one because why are they coming out now when we've known about it for years? And this thing, I don't know. I think it is a cover up. Just them admitting it, so we'd be like, oh, okay, it's okay. They're going to admit that aliens are real and these things exist, and the government are fully involved in stuff like this, and yeah. But then
Mm.
I reckon it's them saying we've got something else planned, but we just don't telling the public. So we're going to do this, so the people are just going to be stuck on this. So
Right.
that's what I reckon they're doing.
I mean, I can explain Project Blue Book, what I know, if you guys want to hear it, but
Project Blue Book or Project Blue Beam
or Blue Beam.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, it'd be good to hear.
So, if you remember, there was in the media they announced it was like for one night or 2 nights only that there was a mothership in our galaxy heading towards Earth, and then it was nothing. So now there are ships that are being equipped with holographic projectors, so to speak. And the point of Project Bluebeam is when the government's ready to implement they call it one world order, or everybody unifying under one.
Yeah, New World
is going to be under an alien invasion. They can flick a switch, images of UFOs will flood the skies and cause mass panic, and people will say, oh my gosh, we need to unify to defend ourselves. The aliens are here to kill us and attack us. And it's and that's why if you look at Hollywood, all the UFO movies now are turning to where they're violent and attacking us. They've steered away from the friendly ET type movies. And it's all a smokescreen to get us to buy into another fear-based modality of living. And they're hoping that everyone's going to just buy into it and be like, oh, we got to save our planet from the alien invasion and sign off all of our freedoms to quote unquote protect ourselves.
Well,
but the one thing I think that's standing in their way of that truly right now is when Trump implemented the Space Force and brought awareness to that.
Yeah.
Because if we have a Space Force, how can a mothership approach and flood our airspace with ships when we have a fleet in space that's supposed to prevent that? So
the funny thing you mentioned about that is because I've noticed recently on TV that the Royal Air Force have done a new advert about space, but they're not doing it the way the Americans are, where they're saying that we've literally got an airspace for the military. They've just literally kept it as the Royal Air Force, and they've gone, we protect the skies and can protect space. And when I first watched that, I was just like, you're getting on with the bandwagon like the Americans, but they've done it. I think they've done it in a normal way, but not as the way the Americans have done it, where they've physically done a new area and called it something different, still military, but just for the space, where the British have just kept it as the Royal Air Force, and that's it.
Wow.
But yeah, I've noticed that, and I thought, that's the Americans, because I noticed about the American when they did it, and I thought, hey, getting on the bandwagon and thinking about space and protection, but the thing is, I've thought, it's like, if they fake a UFO invasion, what happens if an actual invasion happens and it's way worse than what like the military do, and then they're not prepared for it at all? You could have weapons, but then what happens if it's say like 10 times bigger for an actual invasion of the UFOs? And we're like,
So what you're saying, a real invasion as opposed to some man-made...
Well, yeah, because you've got to think, we're not the only... Because we're in alien form. This is what people need to understand. We're in alien form. We're on Earth. So we're an alien form of humans. So you got to think out there, other aliens are going to come. You know, they're going to inquire and question. But if one day an actual alien invasion comes, because they feel like just invading, you know, like you see on TV, the programs, and people think, oh, that's only TV. Is it though? This is the thing. What people need to understand is like TV shows and movies are actually made up like of real stuff that's going to happen or potentially could have happened in the past. And you think that it's going to happen. But the thing is, if the government tried to fake something just to prepare us, it could be a lighter version of the real thing. It's, you know, yeah, we could have probably guns and weapons and the military could be ready. But if it comes in like there's a massive like ship that's like 10 times it, yeah, you can't just fake something, because if aliens are out there watching Earth and going, are they faking us? They're going to come to Earth and actually invade and be like, no, we're not having this, because it's like the paranormal. People would have questioned it and come in and attack and say, no, you can't do that, you know. And I'll be like, Zach, I'll be standing there, be like, well, you did fake it, so the aliens are not happy, so they're going to come and question you, and you'd be like, well, what are you going to do now? You've been questioned by the actual aliens.
I can flip it on you, Daryl, and say actually the worst would be the opposite. And they come and they're like, we're here to give you technology to heal. You'll never be sick again. You can grow food in any condition.
True.
And what are we going to do? Shoot rockets at them and blow them out of the sky and be like, well, we thought we were being invaded because of Project Bluebeam. And so, yeah, it's like the friendly aliens will be like, this has become a no-fly zone, because they'll just shoot you out of the sky without asking any questions.
That's the problem we've got as a species, isn't it? As humans, you know, we're far too quick to be a bit too trigger happy and get the guns out and blow everything up than we are to kind of listen and try and, you know, be peaceful or whatever.
Right. But to answer your point, Daryl, about if there was a massive invasion, I think that other alien races out there that have, like, quote unquote dealings with them would probably come and say, hey, you guys are losing. Let's help you turn the tide, repel these people, form alliances, and we wouldn't get, you know, wiped out. But I think, yeah, we would. I think we have friends out there that have been visiting and helping us along.
I agree, definitely.
So I don't think that they could pull off a massive invasion and wipe us out. I think, yeah, they probably would do damage, and yes, you know, people would probably be injured in the crossfire, but I don't think the other races would stand by and let us get wiped out.
No.
It's they would come in and help if needed, but I think.
And let's be honest, if they were going to do that, they would have done it already by now.
I know.
And they wouldn't have to do it locally by approaching the planet and just coming down with their ships. They could do it from millions and millions of miles away in space.
Let's just hope that when if it does happen, like they do physically come in, you know, and make a big story about it, that the government don't go guns blazing and literally just allow them try to communicate before anything. You know, if they communicate and the aliens ain't having none of it, then that's fair dues that maybe, you know, you attack. But until they attack, question like ask them like, well, we've noticed you just come into Earth's atmosphere, you know, just wanted to know why or how can we help, you know, because we're happy to help. But if they reply back said we don't care, we come to invade and kill all humans, then obviously attack. But, you know, they come and said, we just want to see what your pancakes were like. And you'd be like, oh, okay, we're happy to come on in. You know what I mean?
And I will say the one thing that I question about, you know, who, would come is NASA. If you remember, created that gold disc that they sent into space.
That's right. Yeah.
As the
Voyager
introduction.
1.
Well, when I was like looking at that, going, well, what is on that disc? Well, one of the things that's on that disc is Hitler talking and giving a speech to the Nazi party.
Yep.
So if a race is listening and goes, wait a minute, who is this guy? He sounds like a leader of this world. What the hell is going on this world? And why are they allowing this? Then it's like, yeah, we're not putting our best foot forward.
No. Yeah, it's just the wrong foot to put on. It's like, oh yeah, just hear Hitler, and you'd be like, well, we could inquire a bit more. But yeah, I think majority of the time when it comes to the government, it doesn't matter where it is, I don't think they go around it the right foot sometimes. With science or anything else like that.
And I think you guys would probably agree with me, because I think you see it in the UK too, is we have our government, but then we also have next to it our government.
Yeah.
And so it's like there's two operating, and it's like, wait, what?
The Illuminati.
So so it's like, which government is going to get first dibs talking? And it's like, are we going to get the right government talking, or are we going to get the other government? And it's like, we're screwed.
Yeah. I mean, they tried it with COVID, didn't they? I think everyone knows that was probably created in a lab in China or possibly America, and then leaked out. And unfortunately, it killed a lot of people. But that was probably their plan. They've tried a few other things since then, haven't they? Something came out a couple of years ago, and it hasn't happened. It hasn't taken off. And I think next up is probably going to be Project Bluebeam. What's going to scare everyone the most? Oh, an alien invasion. Yeah, back into lockdown again. You can't go anywhere. You can't do this. You can't do that.
We call them psyops here. They're brainwashing, so that they keep throwing things at us and see what we'll swallow, what we won't, what'll work, what won't work. And it's like, we're not your guinea pigs, people. Stop treating us like guinea pigs.
Yeah, well, it's definitely been like that I feel. Guinea pig sections.
Yeah,
people need to be more open and free what they want to do, not
exactly
do the guinea pig way.
Yeah,
right. So we're actually like 13 minutes over, and so it's been a great show. But before we go, Kell is asking, what do you have?
What has he got coming up next?
So obviously I'm moving back to Ramsgate soon.
Right.
So once I've moved, I'm set up, and I'm physically going to do obviously a podcast set up and an actual editing section. But obviously I'm going to still do my paranormal and go out a lot more. But I want to do podcasts. So I've obviously rearranged and just reintroduced a different part of Lost Souls and do it as a podcast. So it's called Lost Souls Podcasts. Try and focus on that as well. But yeah, I'll be getting out a lot more places around where I am, Kent, and then England, and then expand that way. But yeah, no, for the rest of this year, I'm going to try and fit in a lot of places. So it'll be a busy year for me.
So if people want to collaborate with you or maybe ask you some questions about your videos, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Facebook, Insta, TikTok. I'm always on there all the time. So people are happy to message me on any of them free services, or YouTube as well. So yeah, I always answer messages because I always get notifications. So any of them services, anyone wants to message me, you're welcome to. So yeah.
Brilliant. Excellent. Wow. Have you got any more questions, Michael? Or
No, I think we covered a lot, and I appreciate you coming on, Matt, and filling in for Kell. And again, we hope Kell gets to feeling better, and
yeah,
that just know that with all illnesses, it will pass. Just take it easy, keep yourself hydrated, and thank you, Daryl, for coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
And yep, Kell's saying thank you. And thank
yeah.
you,
You're
Kell,
welcome.
for being in the chat room.
Wow.
And so with that, let's see. Next week we have Mark Sargent coming on. And yes, we do have
Right.
an episode next week. So do keep your eye out, because every once in a while we do throw in a extra episode here and there. So
That'll be an interesting one, actually. Get his take on things.
yeah, so you're gonna be up on screen with us on that one, Matt?
I hope so. Yeah, I think that'll be a really good one. In case any of our viewers don't know, Mark Sargent is quite a leading figure in the whole kind of flat Earth movement. Now, as you know, this is Kell's and Michael's show, with Michael's the co-host. But what she likes to do is explore all things paranormal. And when we say paranormal, she's meaning everything from conspiracy theories right across to UFOs and ghost sightings. Now, the whole flat Earth thing comes under the kind of conspiracy theory kind of thing. And, you know, there are some interesting theories regarding flat Earth. So I think it would be quite interesting to see what Mark Sargent has to say and, you know, go from there, really. But I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be an interesting show, definitely. Yeah.
So make sure you join us next week for that one. And thank you, Matt, for sharing. And
No
people
worries.
who are watching this one may decide, hey, yeah, I want to hear that. And
even if you're not into it, it's worth listening to it and just, you know, hearing what he's got to say. You know, I think it's, yeah, could be interesting.
So with that, we are going to bid all of our guests and all of everyone in the chat room, wherever you are in the world, a blessed night, blessed day, blessed morning. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us at Paranormal Versus. Hope to see you on our next episode.